All right, so we need to get to work here. And let's see here. Where's my site? Oh, here it is. I'm just going to pull this to the front so that I can see it. So kind of what I want to add today, I have these cards as like clickable links here, but they currently don't do anything. And so what I want to be able to do is be able to click this link and have a modal, a full screen modal open up that shows this card in like a detail view. And I'm kind of taking inspiration from like GitHub. Now when they do it, they pull something over to the side here. And the other one that I was looking at is this site, which is somewhat new, but it just kind of popped up, but I kind of like it. Similar idea to what I'm doing, but yeah, you know, doing this like a modal, description, stuff like that, inline editing, and you know, whatever, actions on the side here, different headings to do stuff, created, updated. So I think this is something like what I kind of want to do. So I think I'm going to go with that and, you know, just move from there. So, yeah, so first I'm going to need a modal. So I'm going to go over here and let's see here, CD front end. What's different here? Oh, I just removed that thing. I'm just going to amend my last commit. And force push it back up. It's only me on this repository, so I'm not worried about, you know, force pushing and overwriting changes for people. All right, so yarn ads. I think it's called React Modal. No, it's Facebook's like modal for React Modal, yeah. And what I don't know are the types included. I don't know. They have types included in this repository. I don't think it's in TypeScript because this is a Facebook thing. I don't really see any type file. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't see any type files. So, all right, so we're going to add React Modal and types React Modal. Just pull them from definitely typed. I guess if the types were included, there's typically a stub file that's put on definitely typed that'll give you a warning to say like, hey, this is a stub file and the dependencies are already in the repository, so you don't want to use this. All right, so do that. Have these two things, adding types React Modal, and you know, get our mock file changes. So add React Modal dep. So we've got that now. Let's go look at their docs. All right, simple example of a modal. Great. So we're just going to grab this. Yeah. Minimal example using set app element. I remember this thing. I don't remember exactly what that is. Set app. Oh, right here. Make sure you bind your modal. Okay, for accessibility. All right. So, yeah. All right. So we're going to go to our front end. Let's make a component for this. And yeah, like just real quick on repository structure, just so people can follow along. I've got this source repository, or source is like where all the code is. You just kind of got your basic things. I've decided to put some like utils at the top level here. I might refactor those later, but you know, for now there's not enough that I feel like I need to. I've got my typings. I've got like some specific just typings, some remappings for our specific, what do you call it, domain. Some Hasura things to help out. Because they have these types called like float8 and timestamp TZ, and I wanted to remap those so that they weren't any types. Got a hooks folder, got a GraphQL folder, got all my queries, mutations, fragments, subscriptions generated with GraphQL. What am I using actually on this repository? Am I using GraphQL CodeGen or Apollo? So I'm using Apollo CodeGen, okay. And yeah, so now I know that there's like, okay, let me just finish this. And then we've got components. Components is just like all the kind of components that I'm using. And then Auth0 is some like Auth0 stuff that I'm using. Because I'm doing sign-in with Auth0, I just felt like there was no need to build my own, you know, authentication framework and everything. and deal with all that. So, but yeah, the app is really simple because it's only really like one route right now, or two routes. Sorry, the login page and then the Kanban board page. So I might like refactor this as I go along, but I like to kind of let my repository grow organically and refactor things as they make sense, rather than like trying to define like a whole layout ahead of time and then try to make everything get, shoehorn it into that style. So yeah, it just depends on the project size. Like, eventually you don't want a components folder that's got 1,000 components in it, or maybe you do. I don't know. Does it really matter? Probably not. And then just a quick note on GraphQL. I've decided to not co-locate right now. I don't know. I've done co-location. I've done not co-location. I kind of like this style better when I'm using Apollo. I feel like if I was using Relay, co-location is like very well supported, and you define your fragments for each component, and it rolls everything up, and it does like your single query for your page. It's all very nice. Apollo doesn't really have a lot of tooling to support that for like co-location of data. And I guess the other part of it is like if I have an avatar component, well, this doesn't do any GraphQL. Let's see, like a Kanban card. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I just feel like my TypeScript props, I feel like my TypeScript definitions are defining the data that I want, and I can, pull in the GraphQL data if I want to. And so I just don't feel like a lot of need, like here, like I can say like cards are the columns query columns cards. I don't need to, I don't know. I don't need to actually have the GraphQL definition for columns cards in like this same file, like the fragment and everything in the query, because I just have the type and I can go to my types and see them and see what they're doing and whatever like that. Okay, so, all right. So we're adding a modal. So this is a Kanban card modal. Kanban card modal.tsx. So I don't really have like a snippet, or maybe I do. It's like SFC, RC, I don't know. I have some kind of like snippets that I've set up before, but I don't really use them. I'm just gonna type it every time. I know that's, I don't know, it's whatever. All right, so get React in here. Let's export my Kanban card modal function and props. Just kind of create a basic component here, and let's see here. All right, so now we need a React modal. So I copied these styles. Okay, I still got them on my clipboard. Great. Custom styles import modal from React modal, and we got that. And modal. I do not remember. Oh, I need to do this thing too. Modal.set app element. I actually want to put this more in like my index, in my app folder. Yeah, I kind of want to just do this here. Import modal from React modal. And I just want to do it like kind of when my app Kanban. Yeah, I just kind of want to do this, I think. Now, there's... I want to do this so that like when the page loads like the first time we get this, I suppose like you could wait to assign it. But like if I ever end up having more than one modal, I don't want to repeat this every time. So I'm just going to put it in my app folder so that it does it once. I feel like I need to do something else though. Like actually have a... Yeah, let me look at the demo real quick for like set app element. Yeah, so they say main here. React modal.set app element main. So I think that I need like a modal component. Yeah, no elements were found. So I think I need to actually go to my public HTML. And I've got my root here, but I'm just going to make another component. And I'm going to call it Kanban modal. Yeah, just like that. And I'm going to save that. And let's see if that works now. Cool. All right, so now like if we look at our HTML here, we've got this Kanban modal. So this is where it's going to attach to, and it's outside of our React root. And I think it uses like a React portal to like get it over here. But yeah, so cool. All right, so that's done. Let's go back here to this modal, and I want to look at the docs real quick. And let's get rid of some stuff. Where did my React modal docs go? I actually might have had them on the other screen. Did I? No. I don't know what I did with them. Okay. React JS Modal. Just want to see how this thing renders. Okay, is open. On after open, on request close style. Yeah. Okay. So let's just grab that stuff, pull it in here. And then it has children. Okay. And I'm just going to put like an H1 in here. Just so it doesn't... Wait, oh, Prettier doesn't do this anymore. Yeah, oh, that's so nice. Prettier 2.0, I switched to it like just last weekend, and they've done this new thing where they don't collapse these tags by default if you've like created the opening tag, which is so nice because what it used to do is it used to like if you took the time to write out modal/modal but hadn't figured out what you were going to put in here yet, you know, this is very common, you create your closing tag first before you've decided, and you just hit save. It actually translated it to this. It just self-closed the tag because it was like, oh, well, you don't have anything in here. We can just optimize that away for you. But it's like now you have to go like undo and retype it, and it's so annoying to deal with. So I'm really glad that they made that change. So I'm thinking like just conceptually here, our modal is probably going to, like, we want to be able to control this modal when it opens or not. So we're going to have like an isOpen prop that's a Boolean. We're going to say props.isOpen. And then on after open, I don't think we need anything for that. On request close, on request close, what did they use that for? Set is open false. Yeah, okay. So that's when the user like hits the close button or the X or touches the backgrounds. They'll call this close function. So on close is a function. It does nothing or returns nothing. So there's our on close. We've got our custom styles, but I'm also thinking, I don't know. Do we need to like allow other styling? I don't think so. So we'll just do that. Content label, Kanban card. Or maybe we want to say this like the content label is going to be props.title. Yeah. Alright, title, string. Yeah. So I think this is an accessibility thing. Pretty sure. It's like some like for screen readers or whatever. So we're going to say it's like the title of the card. But maybe we should say something like, we should do something like this and say like Kanban card props.title or Kanban card props.title. Okay, and then let's see, what are the other options here? Aria hideout, body class name, close timeout, milliseconds, data, HTML, ID key, on after close, overlay class name, portal, should close on escape. Yep, we want that. Should close on overlay click. Yes. I'm pretty sure we want it to close on overlay click. Let's see what they do. Yeah, they close on overlay click. This is going to be a big enough modal that like I don't think we need to worry about it, and we'll just store things, like, we'll either save them immediately, like, if they do something like add a date or something and save it, like, it'll just be added immediately, so there will be no data loss. If they accidentally close out, they're just going to have to open up the card again. So I think should close on overlay click and should close on escape are both good to have. And is there anything else that I want? Should return focus after close. Sure. That'll be nice because if they like exit out of it, it'll like focus back onto the card that they clicked on. I don't know, we can always change that too if it becomes a nuisance. Alright, so they've kind of got this like yeah, header here, but I'm just going to do this for now. I'm just going to say, let's see here. We'll make an h1 class name, font size, or what is it? Text size LG. I think that's it. Sometimes the tailwind, see, it just started working there. Text size, text LG, yeah. Sometimes the tailwind thing works and sometimes it doesn't. So we want large text, and we want to say just the title, I guess. So is that all I need for large for my H1? I think so. We'll just say crop set type. So that's all we're going to have in here for now. I think that should be everything we need for a modal. So let's go to, let's see here. So we've got our Kanban columns, which have our headers and return our cards. And so we want it so that when they click on a card, we open up the modal and populate it with the information. So, so each of the cards needs to have like some kind of on-click. So let's see here, yeah. So here's the title of the card here. And, I'm trying to decide, like, should it only open when you, or should it open when you click on any part of it? If we did that, it would be here on the article. So on click equals open click. Yeah, we'll just call it on click. I don't know if the prop should be called that. Yeah, Kanban card on click. So yeah, when you click the card, that makes sense. We're going to have a void function here. Let's destructure that. Okay, so on click, call the on click handler. But I think we actually want to do like const handle open handle card click. So let's actually create a function here and say, you know, what we want to do. So we want to say like on click, and we want to probably pass it some data. So let's, I guess really we just want to pass it the card ID. Because from the card ID, the Kanban modal can query the other information. Because it might like not have the same information that this is querying for. In fact, it definitely won't. It'll need a lot more. So it's going to need a query anyways. So really all the on-click handler needs to know about is the card ID. So we're going to add that in. Card ID, which is a string, I think, question mark? Oh, no, it's a number. All right, number. Cool. So then when we change this, handle card click, and save that. All right, and okay, so that's good for that. And let's go up to our, let's see here, our column. What is going to be responsible for passing down this like on-click handler? Like basically, where do we want to mount the modal? The modal basically needs to be mounted at the board level. Yeah, here. So Kanban card modal. And so let's grab some state here. It needs to be, we're going to do some React hooks to control the state. So like is modal open, set is modal open, React use state, and this is going to be a Boolean value, set it to false initially, and pass that in, is open, equals is modal open. What other properties do we need? We need a title. So title, we're just going to do is like this for now. And we need a on close, and we're going to say close mode. And const close modal equals a function that is going to call set is modal open to false. Cool. Actually, we don't need to define that up here. We can do that down here. So we define this hook up here because this is a return statement, and you can't have your React components return a different number of hooks on different renders. You want the same number of hooks returned on every render of your component so that it's idempotent, and that React can do its optimizations around it. So if we had this below here, it'd be breaking the rules of hooks, because there's sometimes that you have one hook and sometimes you have two, and it uses like the number of hooks to track like which hook is which. So yeah, so we put that up there, but then like this close modal function, I only need it if we actually are rendering the Kanban card modal. And so I don't need to create that function every time that I render. So I'm going to put it down here because like if we're loading still, or if we haven't authenticated yet, there's no reason to like create this function every time. So yep, I'm going to do that, and close modal, we've got a title, and I think that should be everything, so that if we go back to our tracker, let's see what's wrong here. Oh, we need to actually pass down our onclick. So yeah, to actually like change this thing. So we want a const open modal, and we're going to be passing this down to like a bunch of different components. Set is modal open to true, and we need our memoization. Cool. And so like use callback is called in function open modal. React hook React use callback is called in function open modal. What? Line 20. React hook React use callback is called in function open modal. I am so confused by that. Is called in function open modal. Oh, no. Okay. See what I did? Yeah, I want this. Okay. It's like, what? Called, oh yeah. So same thing, rule of hooks, this needs to be up here now, because we can't call that conditionally. Great. So what I'm doing here is I want our open modal to be memoized, because we're going to be passing this down to a bunch of different components, and I don't want like the referential integrity of this open modal function to change, because basically if something were to cause this board page to re-render, kind of like a set state here, it's going to recreate this open modal function and create a new instance of it and pass it down every single time. I don't want that to happen. I only basically because all this thing is doing is calling our React set state, which this React is guaranteeing like this has referential integrity. This is never going to change. That's why we don't actually need to add it to the array. We could add it to the array here to memoize it. It's not going to complain about that, and it's not going to have like any difference because this is never going to change. It has referential integrity. So, but yeah. So if we do this, then as we pass down this like open modal function, and maybe I should call this like open Kanban card modal, just to be more descriptive. So we like have the context here of what this is, but like for the props here, like if we just say open modal, it's kind of like ambiguous a little bit about like what kind of modal we're opening. So this is, naming the prop something more descriptive is better for that. But yeah, as we pass this function down to the board, to the columns, to the cards, this function is memoized all the way down, so that as this thing re-renders, as this board page re-renders, it's not going to cause our whole app all the way down the tree to re-render every time, which is what we want. So let's go to our board component now, and this is the first time that I have a prop here. That's great. Okay, so props, we're going to say type props equals on Kanban card modal, or what did I call it? Open Kanban card modal. Yeah, it's not really something that's happening on it, it's like doing. There's a function and doesn't return anything. Okay, now it's telling us that we're not using our props anywhere, so let's go to the bottom of this component and pass this to our Kanban column. So open card modal. It's going to be props.open Kanban card modal. So see how we're like we're drilling this prop all the way down through these components here. And what we're trying to make sure is like that this thing doesn't re-render every single time. So that's why the use callback is really important here. Modal void. Destructure it here. Sometimes I destructure and sometimes I don't. There's not really a rhyme or reason. It's just kind of whatever I feel like doing at the time, I suppose. And then passes the card. Open. So this is an on-click handler. So if you notice, like passing this down, we've given it this very descriptive name of what this thing is. Open Kanban card modal. But here we call it on-click. And I think that's like good because the idea here is like this on-click handler is really kind of attached to this whole top level component, this card component. So it's saying like when we click the card, kind of English readability, Kanban card, on click, open the Kanban card modal. So that's really nice. If we called this thing like on click, all the way down through, like nobody would really have any idea. It's like, oh, I'm just kind of passing this on click handler and I don't even know what it's like doing or what it's for. So this makes it like very nice and clear. So if I save that, and I feel like I need to save all these other files that I didn't save as I was editing. And board page. All right, we're good. We compiled. Excellent. All right, so now if I click this, our modal opens. Excellent. If we click on the overlay, it closes. And yeah, excellent. Okay, so we have a modal. Hey, okay, so I just want to record a quick amendment. As I was doing some research after this video, I realized that I was using the set app element wrong or incorrectly of the React modal. So I don't know why, but I thought that this set app element just did probably because I didn't read the docs. It's like call this to properly hide your application or something. For some reason, I thought that this property was meant to mount your component, like basically to tell like where your component should mount to, like using a portal and saying like, hey, let me go to my index.html. Hey, like here's my React root, but like I want my modal to appear like outside the root in a separate thing. And my thought process was that like if that happened, then the screen reader wouldn't be reading all this stuff in the root. But that was wrong. So yeah, reading this, like, call this to properly hide your application from assistive screen readers and other assistive technologies while the modal is open. So like that's what we want to do. And if that's the case, like this was completely incorrect to like create a separate HTML tag and use that as the ID. So what we want is literally for this to be our React root. Where we're mounting our React component to. So if I go to my index, this basically, I'm rendering it and I'm rendering it, calling react.dom.render, and I'm rendering to the root element in the document. So just wanted to make that change and that amendment. I didn't want to mislead anyone, like give them the wrong idea about what this does, because basically how I had it, leaving it in the, basically setting this, it was like saying, okay, hide everything in this div, which was nothing. Like the screen reader still would have been reading everything that was happening in the React root while the modal was open. So quick fix on that. Make sure that you're setting this to be equivalent to what your React root is, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with suspense when you can have multiple roots and things for your React code. So. But all right, thanks, bye.